attendance? See if we
Sure
have
will.
a quorum.
Okay, Greg Zero,
Present.
Lou Farrar,
Present.
Dave Delaney,
Present.
Doug Avery,
Present.
Rick Coretta. Yes.
Okay, we have 4 council members here. Vic was unable to be here. His father passed away today, and so under a moment of silence, please remember him. Let's rise and say the pledge of allegiance to the moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing and read the resolution. Then anyone who wants to speak at it may come up to the podium and speak for 3 minutes if they want to say anything about this. Whereas the town of Seneca Falls has certain supplementary regulations under Article 5 of the zoning law, and whereas the town of Seneca Falls, after consultation with various departments and after reviewing multiple citizen complaints concerning property maintenance, and whereas the safety, welfare, and promoting of residents' interests are facilitated by amending said regulations to provide for keeping property in good condition and free of rubbish and debris. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls hereby amends section 308.38 parentheses D, parentheses 1, to include additional penalties as follows. After and the expense of such order being executed shall be assessed against the real property and added to the tax roll next due the following. The minimum fee of $400 or the actual cost of the cleanup and removal should such be in a higher amount. And it is further resolved that the town zoning officer be and he hereby is directed to enforce such execution. So that's the law you're going to speak on. Do I have any speakers on that resolution? Public hearing. Okay, you go up to the podium, state your name. You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. It's a lot. Testing. It's not on. Everybody can hear me, right? I just wanted to say that I would ask the board to please entertain the idea of including existing code sections that deal with property in the historic district where you have a process in place now that involves having to have a complaint made first to the code enforcement officer, at which time the code enforcement officer would contact the violator and then allow for an abatement period to pass. Is that correct? And then if they promise to do something by that date, they can wait till the last date. What is it, 60 days? 30 days? A period of time. They can wait till the last day, do something, and then the next day unwind it. I've seen that happen, where they put the stuff back and then another complaint has to be made, or unless someone else sees it and happens to notify me. So that's a kind of a laborious project. It gets to be extended in time. Very little sometimes happens. I know in one instance, an individual was called into court. He simply said he didn't have any money. He didn't offer any proof of it. The judge let him off with a warning. Didn't give him a fine, even though he was a repeat violator and so on. So I would ask that you please consider including the existing codes, particularly as regard to the historic district, given that that's the main way to get into town and out of town for tourists. Is the first thing that they see. It leaves a lasting impression as to what type of place Seneca Falls is. So if you would please think about including that and having it be a fine that's given right away instead of just talking to a renter, actually dealing with the landlord and saying, okay, here you have this violation, here is the fine. I guarantee you that the place will begin to look a whole lot better in a very short period of time, because as you know, when you hit the wallet or the pocketbook, it gets everybody's attention and it brings about change quickly. So please consider that. Thank you.
I ask my attorney, town attorney, the question. Does it indicate a time frame?
The time frame will start actually when Dean notifies them. He has a standard procedure. That section of the law has a standard procedure. What's going to happen is that he's going to ask them to have the trash removed, and he's going to cite them, and then if they fail to do it, this is the tail end of the procedure. There's already a whole bunch of procedure in there before. It gets to the tail end when it still isn't done. That's when this section takes over, which is what Dean had requested, to give him some teeth to do something with it in terms of physically getting the debris off of the lawn. Am I stating that correctly for you?
Well, it'll probably take place after my second letter, which is date to have it removed by. And then after that, it's like lawn mowing, then they send a crew out to mow it. And then if it reoccurs, then we can go to the following, then the insurance ticket report.
So assuming if tonight on your way home you saw a whole bunch of debris, what would be the shortest distance in the process before this got triggered? How long would it take for you, basically?
If I witnessed it personally,
Yes.
I could issue the soft letter tomorrow morning, give them 7 days contacting that there might be an alleged violation on the property. They call, most of the time that letter does its job, gets fixed. Then if I don't hear anything from them, the violation still exists. Then from that point on, I issue the order to remedy notice, which is more strict, gives guidelines, jail, fine, both. It's a real firm letter. And then usually from that point, with lawn mowing, I just send a crew out when it's not remedied by that date. And then after that, we go to the appearance.
And then it would come to the actual imposition of the cost of the
That would actually be up to us. I know like the lawn mowing is, we mow it, and now it actually goes to the bill. So we have to put that in line someplace when you would want me to order that pickup.
This particular resolution probably makes more sense if you start and read the whole resolution that gets up to it. This is added at the request of what Luke had mentioned last time to say we need something additional, which is an ultimate. You're going to have to do this, or we're going to do it, and you are going to pay for it. So this is, in the continuum, this is only one of the final steps that we're going to do. Hopefully, I view getting to this point as a failure because the people simply haven't done anything, so we have to act. So that's why this section was added, which was more enforcement, which I understand what Lou was asking for, which was more enforcement, if we had to.
Can I speak?
Oh, yeah.
This is what spurred me. This was Canal Fest. And this is what people saw behind the buildings. Mattresses next to the donkey booth, along with weed eaters and overfull garbage inside the trash can. To my knowledge, that mattress is still there, down there. The other one, when you leave, there's a better picture of it, but this is just a few of them. Anybody can ride around town and see them. This one is when you leave, what is it, Dean Towing or Sewell Street? That is still there, and they've also added to the debris that's there. And I talked to Highway, and the last thing in the world I want anybody to do is go pick up mattresses. We do not have a sanitation department anymore. We got rid of that. What we have is a landfill that will gladly accept anything. You can bring them, they'll pick it up, or Jimmy will drop off a tote. So this can't go on anymore. And just go around town and look at this stuff. These are just a few of them. Dean and I have been working on it quite a while. And it has to stop.
So the advantage to this is that ultimately, and this may be intent, landowner may be absent, not care, or simply be collecting the rent, third party, and not even be around. This will go on the taxes. When they get the tax bill, they'll understand. And they've already been given notices, and nobody did anything, so we have to do something to remove that. And when we do, I think the first time it cost somebody $450 to remove a mattress, the next time the mattress won't be there.
There's a specific house and right across the street from Birdberry that I watched pretty close, and they really got smart. Now, instead of putting it by the road, they have it behind the porch, next to the porch, right on Fall Street. And it's something this time.
And Dean understands that he can task our people with going out and doing it, and there will be costs for doing that. There's no joy in imposing restrictions or penalties upon citizens. But at some point, if you don't do this, we don't have any teeth in this thing. So we have to, unfortunately, get to the point to where there is a penalty. And that's a big penalty that they could have easily had arrangements to have disposed of something like this for a lot less than $450, and that's the minimum. If the cost of us doing it is more than that, it's the higher of the two.
Well, I've already gotten phone calls from landlords and homeowners that are objecting to this, but it's simply a matter, and I told them, it's simply a matter of taking care of your investment, period. You're renting it, it's up to you to take care of it.
You can't put the couch on the curb.
Two things. One is, there are people that all over town who I think still think you can put the couch on the curb. Because even in all neighborhoods, you see that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to communicate to them that they can't. But the other thing, that more importantly, is so what happens if you get a situation that Matt cited where someone fixes the situation, Dean signs off on the improvement, and then the next day the crap's still out there again? Is it a whole new offense and we start at square one?
Like he's talking about, he was brought before, it was cleaned up. Then he just started bringing stuff from his old homestead there. I went back, I spoke to him, but now we're to the point now where I'm just reissuing an appearance ticket. I don't have to go through the first steps anymore because he was advised by the court,
Okay.
keep it clean, or else he'll be back in front of the court. So,
And he now has a chair, a large, broken down, easy chair at the curb, along with a bunch of debris that's been in it for some time.
I think I know where you're talking, I noticed that.
Now there's a tent
Yeah,
in the front
I
yard,
saw
going right
that.
up to the sidewalk.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about a specific individual.
No.
Yeah.
But just in general,
Yeah,
what happens
this
is
is
the
kind
next
of-
day after Dean's been there and said everything's fine, thank you.
This kind of goes along with everything else. I mean, we want to develop a business district, and when we have rentals like we do in the Sackett district and downtown, and just before you take 1 foot into that, it's disgusting to see what we see. And I think this will be a good start, and maybe turning it around. It's probably, it's a start, I guess. We'll probably have to sit down again with the board and say it didn't work.
My experience with these fines in other jurisdictions has been that it takes a little while to see the impact, but as soon as you have 2 or 3 that happen and somebody has to pay the bill, you see a huge tapering off of the problem. We had that in Geneva. We have students who leave by a certain date and everything that they own, their seniors, is out on the front lawn, and the landlord who's collecting huge rent understands it's his responsibility. He should have built it into his fees, or he should have built it into some type of requirement, but ultimately he's going to be responsible because he has the tax bill. It stopped. So,
Is there Anyone else who would like to come up to the podium and speak on this? State your name. State your name. Okay, could you come up to the podium, state your name, where you live? You'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, Dave Abbott Senior, Seneca Falls, New York. Mainly I have a question for Lou. In back of the stores towards the canal, one of the pictures I believe shows trash cans, which are from the town of Seneca Falls, if not the village. So what do you call that, sanctioned? Anyway, it's a mess. If the tenants put their stuff in those trash cans, even if it's over a bit, isn't that supposed to be picked up regularly? I see stuff sitting there in those trash cans for several weeks.
I'd say that's up to the person that, when they fill their trash can, they get a regularly scheduled pickup day, I believe.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, so I don't understand why it would be there past when it's supposed to be.
The trash carrier?
Well, then that's something we should point out to the supervisor, and maybe he can call the current vendor and ask him why he's not doing his job.
Okay, would the vendor be in violation and then we get deemed to make him a call?
To pick up the trash,
No, call Cardinal, they do the rest.
Cardinal's pretty good, and I've called Jim before. I've had people up on Porter Street that they missed their delivery altogether, and when she called me, I had Jim run up an extra tote so that she would have a place to dump her garbage. We try and work with them, but they came and picked up the trash in that area on a Sunday after we called.
Okay.
So if it's pointed out, if you call me, Dan, I'll call them up. Any one of us will.
Well, you've gone by it, so I think you know what I'm talking about. And if you two are checking the situation out, I'm sure you'll pick up. Thank you.
You're welcome to take it.
Are there any other comments? Just Mr. Blair's comments. I think you bring up a good point. However, I would be hesitant to put any amendments on this because we want to get this in action and going. If there's further problems, we can duly amend that from that date and have another public hearing because it is a law, a local law, and we have to have a public hearing for it. So this would push it back out another 30 days, advertising it in the paper. Would that be okay with you? Or do you find that?
You know, anything that
Good
speeds
start.
this process along, I'm for. I'm willing to compromise on anything, you know.
I want to see it expedited as soon as possible, too.
Eventually, I'd like to see us get to a more abbreviated process, because it just takes too long. And when you hit somebody with something like that, they don't really take it seriously because they don't feel the impact of it. So hopefully this will be the first of several steps. But
How long is too long? When you're looking at wet mattresses and chairs and TVs and electronics on the road.
Yeah,
That day is too long.
Well,
I come home from work and see it.
I'd like to see something where you have 48 hours, and if it's not within 48 hours, then a fine.
I agree.
You know, all the other stuff, it's just makes it feel like it's not immediate.
Right.
There's no urgency to it.
I did have a question, the legality of it. Legally, I'm not supposed to wander off and do that. Suppose they start stockpiling them off to the side or in the rear where I can't see it. I get a complaint, now I get out, a little closer, I look, I see the piles. Are we allowed to go on the property and order that to be picked up and have the highway or whoever we have pick it up?
My feeling is yes, but you do so in that case by being accompanied by, ask for an accompaniment by one of the officers to physically announce first of all why you're there. That somebody, don't just walk around and announce that you're there and why. And then basically write whatever you have to write and then bring it in here, and that's what we have a justice court for. It will be initially dealt with, but subsequent to that, no one's going to pick it up. We have under the power of this law, we have the ability to remove a nuisance. And because that's gonna collect vermin, mice, rats, whatever. You have the ability to enforce that. But, not looking for a confrontation with the landowner, I'm looking for a peaceful resolution that gets the merchandise out of it. We just have to find a way to, I think it's more of an education thing. We have a system here of pickup where it can be done. Somebody just has to be responsible to get the job done. And the court has the same view, you have the same view, this board has the same view. Not trying to be punitive. It's just, at some point, it's gotta be done. The sooner the better. So, perhaps we should have a neighborhood court. Think about that.
Is there any other comments? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn this public hearing.
Second, close the public.
Close the public hearing.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. This public hearing is now closed, and we will act on this resolution a little later in the meeting. We're going to start in a minute. I got to run and get something from my office, and then we'll start the regular meeting. Red, do you want to take attendance to see if we have a quorum? But we close
Do it
the
again?
public hearing, we have to do
Okay,
it again
all
by
right.
law.
Greg Lazaro,
Present.
Doug Avery,
Still present.
Dave DeLuis,
Present.
Lou Farrar,
Present.
Dick Floretta, yes. Okay.
Okay, we'll rise and say the pledge of allegiance to the moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Okay, our first item on the agenda tonight is a resolution that I'm very proud of reading because I know this gentleman for all of my 31 years that I've been in Seneca Falls. The resolution reads, "Be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls recognizes Angelo Suffredini for his many years of dedication to team sports and to the youth of the community." There's my motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I worked with Angelo, worked for many, many years. Good person, know he's involved, he knows he likes the Cardinals. Good man.
And every person who's my age, and I'm 65, who grew up in this town remembers Angelo as their coach. So I think, although Angelo's not here tonight, we should give him a round of applause. And because we had to ask the department heads to leave, I forgot to call him Jim, so I'm going to call Jim in. Jim? Sorry. We just recognized Angelo.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask Jim to hang this in a special place at the rec center. And again, it reads, "Be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls recognizes Angelo Suffredini for his many years of dedication to team sports and to the youth of Seneca Falls."
Very good. We're proud to hang it. There's a lot of other people who have been recognized, and it's a really good spot for it. Make sure you see it.
Okay.
Great.
There'll be a certificate with
Very
that.
good. We'll do it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Back in the room.
Yes. We We have a number of petitions tonight. The first one is William Sweeting. Mr. Sweeting, step up to the podium, and you'll have 3 minutes.
All right.
Thank you. You're going to talk about water on Farron Road.
Yep, again.
1 second. Could we call in the highway superintendent? Okay. Okay, Mr. Sweeting?
As you know, last week got a lot of rain, yard flooded again, but this is Garden Street Extension on the north side, no water. Garden Street Extension, south side, tons of water, culvert plugged again. Dutton's ditch, no water moving, water can't run uphill. The ditch is not completed. My yard again. What's going on here? Jim? What's going on?
I went out there, I got a call from one of the councilmen, and I went out there and checked that out. They said that your lawn was getting flooded by my ditch.
Yep.
I've got pictures right here that I've taken. Your lawn is getting flooded, but not from my ditch.
Baloney.
Your-
Water doesn't move, Jim. It's gotta go someplace.
These pictures,
Jim,
I
want
took
town to see this too? Woody's driveway?
right here.
Town dumpsters? Town of Fayette?
These are pictures I took.
Stealing, buddy. Stealing, people. This is stealing from the taxpayers. Somebody should be fired. You're not worth the money you got paid, Jim.
Okay,
The $14,000 raises, you're not worth a damn penny of it.
That's
That's all right, you know what?
Let's keep it simple.
Those
I'm
pictures,
supposed to see my attorney. That's stealing from the taxpayers. Town dumpsters, town of Fayette. Let's go. This place is ridiculous. Stealing.
well, you want me to explain this to you guys?
Yes, Jim, you explain that to us.
These pictures that I've got from the ditch, as you can see, the first picture is on the bottom corner here. That's his ditch. It is not overflowing, going onto his property whatsoever. You've got, this picture here, you guys can look at it. This is his ditch, 5 inches below low line. These two top pictures here, this is 5:30 in the morning, the next morning when I went to work. There's about 3 inches of water in there. It all went away. We got a heck of a rainstorm. And on the last page, again, you can see the road is probably 2 foot from the road. Again, there's this property line and the ditch, and there's no water coming from our ditch into there. Yes, you can look at this picture right here. There's the ditch. Here's his property, flooded out, not from our ditch. This water is coming, he's built a low spot, we got all that rain. That's where his water is, right there.
Can I add that he had called me on the phone. I had called Jim. Jim took a ride out there. I took a ride out there. Jim took those pictures and that low over towards his house. You can see in the picture that it's even dipped down in. It poured. The creek by my house goes up. I could put a rowboat down through there. And I told him that on the phone. I said, hey, I'm looking out my house and I got a lot of water right through my yard right now. I mean, it came down to such a downpour, but then I went out there, I called Jim. Jim says, I'll go out and take pictures. Like I said, you can see in that picture, right from the ditch down, that's low. And that's where that water came from, the downpour.
Anytime someone's land gets flooded, first of all, it's a traumatic event. You wake up, you have water in your basement, you have water on your land. Where is that water coming from? Is it just from low places? Is it coming from anyone else's property? Is there anything the town is responsible for? And why don't you wait, talk to the engineer, and then report out on that when you give your highway report, you know? And, to see if there's anything that we can do to help and assist him so this doesn't happen anymore. If there's nothing, you know, he's responsible for himself, we'll understand that. But,
And I have worked with Barton and Jules, with John and Pete, and Soil and Water on this. And,
Let me just add, Jim came to me with this, and a couple of collateral issues here. Number one, there is a dam.
yes, yeah, that's the pictures I got here.
There's a picture here of a beaver dam. That's a complex issue because you can't, without incurring a huge issue, you're not going to just go out and remove the beavers. And number two, part of the route to getting to this, when we check with real property tax services, part of this property that leads to the ditch is owned by the Cayuga Nation. So we've got every issue that could possibly have come up with this. I cannot send my town highway superintendent out to drag or repair, remove, or irrigate without an easement, and if it's not owned by us and the property owner won't do anything, and I'm not suggesting that the Cayuga Nation has said no in any fashion, but we have to have the proper authority to go on property. And then you get to the Department of Environmental Conservation, and you've got what looks like some very, no pun intended, eager beavers who have done quite the job of damming up an area, and what's going to happen, it's going to block the flow of the water, and they do it very effectively. So this is not a simple issue. I am very sympathetic, as Greg has mentioned, with any homeowner who steps out, takes one look, and if I look at the green portion of this, that's grass that's basically submerged. There's an issue. I'm not sure how much the town can do, and we also have to negotiate with the other landowners, and we're gonna have to negotiate with DEC because it's beyond us to go out there and do anything without incurring huge liabilities. So this is not a simple, hey, Jim, you didn't do your job, and it's not a simple answer to the gentleman who spoke. I'm sure, beyond a doubt, he's very frustrated, he's angry, he's mad as hell, and probably has a good right to be. I'm not sure it's fair to lay it at the doorstep of the town and say, we haven't done our job. That's not a true statement. So I can tell you this, we will get to the bottom of it. We'll deal with DEC, we'll deal with the adjoining property owners, be they Cayuga Nation or whomever. I believe that they will cooperate with us because it assists them as well, and hopefully we find a solution. But at some point, the ditch was, the pictures are very clear, the ditch filled up very quickly from a horrendous rain, and by the end of the day, they were back down, the picture showed it. So the water is moving. It's what it is.
Right.
yes.
Mr. Sweety's contention, though, is that somewhere downstream of his front yard, there's an either incomplete or poorly designed ditch for which the town is responsible. Is that yes or no? Is that?
we shot at the grade from his house all the way down to Dutton's ditch. And we started down Dutton's ditch, and that's when the machine broke down. We had to take out, the transmission went on, so the ditch didn't get completed. In the meantime, Mr. Sweeney came to me that the Cayuga Nation bought all that property. So we didn't have no easements to go down in there. That's when I handed that over to Mr. Foster. You know, the ditch should be cleaned up, yes. That ditch, Dutton ditch, goes to, and I want everybody to see this, to the Seneca County ditch. Now, this is the Seneca County ditch, which is probably only supposed to be maybe 10 foot wide. Here it's about 30 foot wide because of the beaver dam. The beavers are in there, the county knows about it. It is clear now, but beavers, it don't take long for them to chew a tree down, and this is what you get, is right here. And, yes, the county's ditch does have that dam in there, it's out now, but yes, Doug, that Dutton ditch should be cleared out the rest of the way. But again, like Mr. Foster said, we can't go in there without, not how they can take over on that.
I can tell you this, I can assure you, I will do everything in my power to gain the assistance of the property owners. I will do everything in my power to gain the assistance of Soil and Water and CEC for dealing with the other issues. And whatever we need to do to resolve our end of it, it will happen. And I'm very sympathetic to the homeowner, having been in a position before to have encountered water. It's a nightmare. So we'll do everything we can, but the county is part of this, New York State agencies are part of this, homeowners are part of this, and people as part of the nation are part of this. I don't see any of them saying no to us. I can't envision that any of them would just say, that's your problem, get off my land. I don't see that's going, I don't feel that's going to happen.
Thank you.
We will find a resolution.
Okay, our next petitioner is Valerie Sandless. She's going to speak on environmental concerns.
On behalf of the Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee, I'd like to discuss the preservation of Local Law 3 and the upcoming Article 78 lawsuit Seneca Meadows has filed against our town. On that note, I'd like to address the multiple adjournments of the court dates, the latest being moved from August 14th to October 3rd, the fifth adjournment, I believe. These adjournments are cause for concern. Their purpose seems to be to negotiate and settle with Seneca Meadows rather than uphold Local Law 3. As you know, Local Law 3 not only establishes a 2025 closing date for the landfill, but it also ensures that no new landfills or other solid waste management facilities, such as incinerators, be sited in Seneca Falls, thus protecting our future. Land use and zoning laws are locally determined and the only true way to protect our community. Senator Nozzolio enforced this opinion in 2016 when he requested legal counsel to the state Senate to conduct a legal analysis of applicable state, federal, and local laws. This legal analysis points out that the town is the exclusive entity with the power and legal authority to determine the location of a landfill and whether such a landfill be allowed to operate within its jurisdiction. The town also has the ultimate authority over the landfill. The town can revoke the use permit if it is demonstrated that the landfill is violating any condition of the use permit or host agreement. The state has no legal authority or jurisdiction to intervene. Local Law 3 empowers us and protects us. I urge all of you, but especially Vic, who I'm sorry is not here this evening, Dave and Doug, to reread Local Law 3, Section 3, that states the purpose of the law. The law restricts the number, location, and expansion of solid waste management facilities, protects the health, safety, and welfare of residents, including that of odors and increased truck traffic and impacts on the air and water, and it allows the town to exercise the police powers under the municipal home rule law and sections 130 and 136 of our own town law. No wonder Seneca Meadows wants to negotiate rather than litigate. Do not let them do this. Local Law 3 restricts solid waste facilities. Local Law 3 protects our citizens. Local Law 3 empowers us. Uphold Local Law 3. Please do not sacrifice our future. Thank you.
Next petitioner is Allison Stokes, SMI Closure.
On
begin by thanking Valerie for her leadership as president of the Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee and for your statement. My name is Allison Stokes. Although my home is on West Baird Street, I live in Rochester. I am an historian. I have created a timeline to distribute tonight. I have given out timelines before, but this one about the Seneca Meadows lawsuit against the town of Seneca Falls is the most important and revealing one I've ever done. This highly detailed document took me 2.5 days, or about 20 hours, to create. What if Seneca Falls taxpayers paid me at the same hourly fee attorney Mark McNamara at Barclay Damon in Buffalo is charging the town? His fee is $430 an hour. At that rate, you would owe me $8,600 for this work product. And I have copies if people want them. To read the timeline is to see an interesting story unfold, a story of conflict. There are two sides. On one side is SMI and its supporters who do not want Seneca Meadows landfill to close in 2025, but rather to grow indefinitely. On the other side are the majority of citizens in Seneca Falls and Waterloo who want the Seneca Meadows landfill closed no later than 2025. To review briefly, almost 2 years ago, in early December 2016, Local Law 3 mandating closure by 2025 was passed by a vote of 4-1. Only Supervisor Lazaro voted against the law. Year 2017 was amazing, and I can't recap the events here. I will only say that SMI filed a lawsuit against the town, withdrew it, and then filed it again toward the end of the year on November 15th, 2017. That was almost 9 months ago. Time drags on with the lawsuit pending. If you look on the timeline for 2018, you will see that this year four court dates before the Supreme Court judge in Rochester have been set, then postponed, as Valerie said. There is now a 5th date set for October. What's going on here? What's happening behind closed doors? I suggest to you that if SMI were confident that they could win their lawsuit, they would have gone to court months ago. But they haven't, because their case is weak. As former State Senator Nozzolio explained in a letter to Supervisor Lazaro in 2016, the legal power and authority rests with the town. Seneca Meadows wants to negotiate. They're carrying on a charm offensive. Let's find common ground, urged Kyle Black and Mark Benjamin. We can well imagine their notion of common ground. Seneca Meadows gives the town mega millions of dollars, and in exchange, the town gives SMI permission to keep the landfill open for years and years. But the people have spoken. Our children's health and future are not negotiable, not at any price. It's time to stop. I'm finishing in 1 or 2 sentences. It's time to stop postponing the court date and let Boylan Code defend Local Law 3 in court. Why? Because they will win. I believe SMI Supervisor Lazaro, Attorney Foster, Kyle Black, and Mark Benjamin all know that. That's why they want to negotiate. Enough. Enough.
Our next petitioner is Eric Jansen from Seneca Community Players. Good evening, Mr. Jansen. Thank you for coming tonight, and again, approximately 3 minutes.
Thank you. I just wanted to speak to the board regarding the condo at 115 Fall Street. It seems to me that there has been conversation that's been unbeknownst to a number of people for a number of years, and specifically, the Seneca Players have used the space at that condo, to my knowledge, at least since probably 2011 and has been recurrently a place where we've supported the arts in Seneca Falls with Merry Christmas George Bailey as part of the It's a Wonderful Life Festival, and with a number of other productions that have been there. And in every case, I think that we have been very respectful of that space, respectful to make sure it was properly secured and it was properly cleaned. When Supervisor Lazaro called me about 3 weeks ago, I frankly was surprised and a bit upset that the production that we currently were rehearsing in that space, Are You Being Served, had evidently failed to live up to those previous caveats. That is something that immediately I addressed, and I understand there are some other issues that are associated with that space. But from the Seneca Players' perspective, we've been here subduing the arts in Seneca Falls now in our 47th season. And in every part of that, we've done everything we can, I believe, to be a good community partner and to provide those things. So I would say, I rise in an effort to make sure that all of you are aware of the position of Seneca Players as it relates to 115, and also to say that I defer obviously to the board about how that should go forward, and express a willingness that the players are certainly on board to work with the town in whatever way that direction should go. That's all of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jansen. We will be looking at that space over the next month. I've been indicated to me by the board that they need some regulations to use the building, how to use the building, perhaps some kind of lease. We really haven't talked about a charge and haven't been paid in the past, and I personally don't see any need to charge people to use that. And so we'll be making some decisions. I would recommend that we get with Aaron Pasalacqua, who's the maintenance man up there, and discuss it with him. I'm told it is up to code. I'll get that in writing. And does anyone want to serve on a committee and look into this with Eric? Sit down with Eric, would you like to? Okay, and David, okay. Doug and Dave will sit on that committee, sit down with Eric, find out if it's up to code, come up with a set of plans on how it's going to be used, if people use it, how they have to leave it, and we'll go from there. We'll come up with some almost a lease type of agreement. And you have been using it for a number of years, very well known in the community. It's a form of service to the community, and we thank you for that. But I think this issue can be rectified fairly soon and easily. So thank you for coming.
Thank you all.
Okay, I'm going to go on to the approval of the minutes with Kyle, I'm sorry. Kyle, I forgot. Thank you, Mrs. Greer, for that oversight.
No worries.
Thank you.
You didn't have his big bright shirt on.
I know the dull orange. Good evening. Thank the board for the opportunity to speak again. I wanted to provide a monthly update on what's going on. Wanted to make sure this month, I usually have the quarterly payment. Unfortunately, it was mailed this month, so I want to make sure the town received that $839,000 Q2 payment. Had a good quarter. Year to date, we're up to $2.1 million delivered to the town. So I think our partnership's working pretty good. Odor complaints for July, as you can see on the chart I handed you, trending same as last month, 23. To the left is this is a running 12-month total from August of 17 to July of 18. So our investment in our odor complaints, or our odor plan that we integrated and completed is working well. Our landfill gas and odor control crew and our local vendor, DC Rouser, is doing a great job with the new regulations, putting horizontals in quicker, and we're seeing the benefits of that with much less complaints. So they're doing a great job. Had our open house July 29th, well over 1,000 people attended that were able to mingle with our team and our vendors to talk about, get a little further education, take the tour up to the landfill. And Finger Lakes Rail was gracious enough again to provide 3 train rides into Seneca Falls for people that have never had the opportunity to do that. Pretty cool thing to do, to see the backside of Seneca Falls from the rail tracks. So that went very, very well. And I want to thank our team and our vendors and all our local people for attending that. Cell construction is ongoing. So again, we are building stage 6B. It's about a 13-acre cell. We're going to be putting liner down. Liner crew's coming in next week, so the geosynthetics will start to go down, which is a good sign. It's actually sooner than we have had in the last couple of years, so that's great. Again, I mentioned our ongoing landfill gas construction in our active area, right adjacent to 414, going in and really doing a great job on that end as well. So that's pretty much the update for the month. Open it up to any questions anybody might have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
You usually don't entertain questions.
Okay.
Now we're done with petitions, can I make a motion to go into executive session for personnel?
So, Mr. Delanus has made a motion to go into executive session for personnel reasons. Does anyone second that?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay, we're in executive session. So,
Where will we go?
One nay,
what? Yeah,
1 nay and 3 ayes.
yeah. Okay. Okay, I move to approve the minutes of the regular
Might
meeting.
come out and
Oh, we come out of executive session.
say motion.
Motion to come out of executive session. I make it.
I second it.
Seconded. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I want to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on July 5th, 2018, and the special meeting on July 12th, 2018. And that's my motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And Lulu, we're talking about meetings. I want to announce that we'll have a special meeting for personnel on July 27th at 3 o'clock. August.
August.
August, yes. I said July, I'm sorry. August, thank you.
At what time again?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, and the court's not in session. That's a good thing.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, yeah, that's, okay. I had a recommendation to accept the reports of the departments,
A through E
A through E
and G through L.
and G through L. Okay, so the motion was made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Craig, I got one.
Yes.
We're doing the parking lot tomorrow behind the stores. Dwayne Moore has offered his parking lot for anybody that would like to go and park there while we get this done. And the only other thing, one other thing that I'd like to say, I'm very disappointed that the gavel didn't come down when Mr. Sweeting accused me of stealing when I did not. And I thought that was very inappropriate on him and by Mr. Lazaro for not giving him the gavel.
I did give him the gavel, Mr.
All
Peterson.
right, then I apologize for that.
I said, let's remain civil here, and that's when he decided
Then I
to leave.
apologize to you for that, but that was totally uncalled for.
Okay, and it was, and I agree with you. But I did gavel.
That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
And Jim, I realize you were heated, sometimes mistakes are made like that, so, but I did gather it. And
Okay,
that was,
that's fine.
I go on the record for saying that was uncalled for.
And then one other thing, I would like to thank the rec center. Jim had his men come over and help me. I was very short-handed when we were blacktopping. Jim, I want to thank your crew for coming in and stepping in and helping us.
It's my routine.
Thank you very much.
Actually, I have one for Joe too. Is there something you're waiting for from us regarding the Academy Square?
Academy Square is supposedly starting Friday, digging on the outside of the canal. That doesn't solve the issue, they still have plumbing to do inside. We've checked with Sarah in the office, we checked the code, and if this continues, there is some action we can take. We can, I believe, charge them 5 times the normal sewer rate per gallon of what we determine infiltrates. If they don't continue from Friday with the inside. It is a little warm out right now, so I'm working in the attic of that building, but we might want to set a date after this month to where we would give them a deadline per se, maybe. I don't know if we can or not. We have to ask the council about that. But we do have movement, but until I see dirt moving, I'm a little leery of that with them. So let's hopefully Friday that starts and we can move forward.
Thank you.
Okay, so motion was made, it was seconded, discussion, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I guess we didn't accept the town attorney's report. You have something to report?
I do. There are 2 closings that the town has been very concerned about. This predates my ever coming on the board. Supervisor and myself have contacted these people individually and continuously within the past week. I would tell you that for Mr. Tilton, I have an email here indicating that he gave us a letter from his bank saying that a closing is imminent. However, he also said, in addition, I'm quoting, I would like to add that I can provide you with a check for an additional $10,000 deposit that you hold until closing. I will also pay $1,000 of rent for August. I cannot afford to lose the building and the investment that I have into it, and I ask for your assistance. When I came on board, there were 2 closing files set to close, each on a separate building with a $1,000 deposit written out to my predecessor. He immediately turned those funds over to the town. The town has those $1,000 funds, and we've notified each of the people that we would either be doing a time is of the essence notice, or we would be just rescinding their purchase offers. And they each have responded. The other party has also indicated they just got their environmental back. They should be ready to go with the bank. I'm hoping that by the next monthly meeting, I can report that both properties have then been turned over. Our assessor will be happy to get them back on our payroll and for taxes, and we should be good to go. But I feel that with this added incentive on the one, the $10,000 deposit and $1,000 for the rent of the place, I feel that we should at least go, we've gone all this time, we basically should go the extra few weeks here, and let's see if we can get them both closed. I'm all set. I have all the closing documents ready to go. I just need checks, and I need to just get signatures for the deeds, and that should resolve the question on both of those closings.
Is this a final on his end? Is this a die date for him?
He's gone to the bank. He's asked for it. In all fairness, one of them had a little bit of a financial upheaval, unexpected, but he's asked to keep it open. He's done a lot of work on the inside of that building. I think the chief has been in that building since then, and the lieutenant, I believe there's obviously, he's got an investment there he doesn't want to lose. I think he's earnest, and if we waited this long, if we go, I would like to have this thing done in the next couple of weeks and have 2 buildings back on our tax rolls.
We're gonna ask
So
for
would I.
this $10,000.
The 10,000, yes, I'm gonna ask them to bring the check in, and, if we wanna use it as part of the closing, that's fine. We can do that.
We do have other people interested.
I know.
We wanna get going on it.
But we need to move forward on it, and it bothers me because it predates my ever even being on the board. This wasn't my deal, and somehow there was an agreement that he could move in, and that's complicated in and of itself. I would not have encouraged that, but it's a given. I didn't have anything to do with it, it's a given, so.
Longley Jones has got theirs.
Longley Jones said they just got their environmental back, everything seems to be okay, so hopefully we have closing. Okay, so I don't want to see this go another board meeting and having to come in and explain. I'd rather come in and ask you for permission to declare time is of the essence or forfeit the deposit of $1,000 and move on.
Another issue.
Yes.
Phil George.
Phil Jordan.
I know we talked to Greg and I had talked at our economic development about it. We'd like to get some of that money.
Phil Jordan, I spoke yesterday with our former counsel for the town. He advised that at one point they had this on the basis of a mortgage foreclosure. They were going to foreclose against him on a mortgage. It was the decision of this, not this board, but prior board, not to foreclose on the mortgage, but to simply maintain an action against him individually, just against him. But they didn't want to mess up, if you will, the sale of property or have a foreclosure go through. They didn't feel that was appropriate. So he pursued it individually. A judgment was not obtained. The pleadings were started, and I believe either Pat still has the file or he's bringing part of that over. I'm not familiar myself with actually what happened in it, but for some reason, it seems to me letting somebody off a mortgage foreclosure would not be a wise thing to do, because that's the impetus to make them pay.
So my recommendation is then let's go through
Whatever
and
we
do a mortgage or lien of some type.
If we can, yes.
Try to get our money if we can.
But that's the status of it, and again, it wasn't this board that made the decision to let the mortgage foreclosure be dropped. But a previous board made that decision. And why, I don't know, I wasn't there. But it's not languishing, it's not being dropped, it's just, I need to have a file and I need to know why they did what they did.
Well, we got businesses that are trying to come to Seneca Falls and are asking if there's any money we can give them, like a startup. I know one of them was offered $35,000 from Waterloo to start there. They really wanted to start down here. We would have had some of that money if we had the Phil Jordan money back. So I think we should put a lien or a mortgage, whatever you got to do legally.
I did check, there appear to be holdings. If a judgment is obtained, there appear to be sources of recovery from other holdings. I don't know why it didn't go to a judgment at that time. I simply don't know.
So
But
I guess
I spoke
you'd
with
have,
Pat.
I guess the rest of the board, you'd have our permission to pursue this more, right?
Okay.
At least fact funds.
Very good.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nothing further.
Okay. I move to accept the town attorney's report.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion passes. I move to accept the communications that are in your packet.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Under old business,
First one we just dealt with.
Route Delta Day, during the attorney's report. B, Route 414 sewer line transfer from IDA to town.
that's out dealing with the easements and the updating of the easements, and I believe we will have a solution on that. Part of that's the county, part of that's us.
Yes.
We just need to put the two together.
I will talk to Mr. Aronson over next month.
And I'm happy to meet. Bob and I have been working on multiple parcels. We've got rid of one pilot. We've resolved other issues, so I believe we're making progress.
Okay, thank you. Any information on a possible installation of fire hydrant, Lake Spur Road?
There's been no committee meeting.
No, okay.
No.
Okay.
It's been like 3 months, maybe we ought to get something going. Water, sewer.
Yep. D, lease of space at condominium, that was discussed before, and we'll continue along that course. Doug and Dave will talk to the Seneca County players and see what we can come up with. We'll talk to Aaron also, make sure we're up to code. The last I heard that we were up to code.
So we're talking about exploring some way to regulate use of that
Yeah,
number by
right.
anybody.
By anyone, yes, yes.
I agree with that. We need to have some.
There just needs to be a paper
protocols.
trail.
The public hearing for the bonding, sanitary sewer improvements will be held next Wednesday. Okay, make a motion to hold a public hearing for sanitary sewer improvements bonding. It's been advertised though.
Yeah, still.
Okay, make a motion to hold that.
Second.
Discussion.
Greg, is that here or am I keeping this in?
Right here.
I'm thinking because a number of people were here, that might
Advertised.
advertise here, okay. So it will be here. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Bids on the Center Street project?
That's up to you guys and how you want to proceed, I guess. I would say in good faith that with the other issues at hand for the 27th.
Okay.
And, I'll say something, we'd like Barton Judas to rebid it for just the mains, and we will have to try and, we have a contractor and ourselves, and the ability is going to put a little more responsibility on myself and the staff, and we'll say rebid, because we should be able to save the town some money. It's not a normal thing the municipality does of that size, so.
Okay.
But we need your permission to tell Barton Bruce to go ahead and rebid it for just the water mains and hydrants, and then we'll do the services.
Okay. Mr. Condino?
Got it.
Okay. Make a motion to rebid the bids on the Center Street project.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Approval of special events.
None submitted this month.
Proposed local law number 2, 2018.
It's been on the bottom of the file, but for this time.
What we just did on the first.
Yeah.
We just did the public hearing, we didn't make a motion to, here it is. Here it is.
Yeah, okay, yeah, let's,
It'll be here in front of me. This is the local.
okay, the local law, the resolution to amend section 300.38D1 zoning supplementary regulations of the town of Seneca Falls. There's a motion, I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Budget modifications. Resolution, whereas the town board recognizes the need for budget modifications put forth by the accounting department to properly balance the budget, and whereas the office of the state controller has indicated it is appropriate to do so, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls town board does hereby authorize the budget modifications put forth by the accounting department. There's a motion on the floor, I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the renewal of the license to construct and operate landfill under Chapter 58 of the town code for SMI, and they have a check here to pay for that renewal of the license for $250. The motion's on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second.
Discussion.
I'd like to move that we table this. I've got issues with the, particularly with the, not the number of odor complaints reported. I understand that they're down. I do have issues with why they're down. But my main concern, and it's not on this month's chart that Kyle gave us, is the hideously small number of complaints that are actually acknowledged to have odor. Sometimes in some months, he gave us a chart last month that had more of that, and sometimes as low as 16%. And I simply just don't believe it.
Second.
There's an amendment on the floor to table it.
But you've already got one person missing, so.
Yeah. There's a motion on the floor to table this motion, amendment, so we're voting on the amendment. Is it,
Right.
are we voting on?
This is a
Yeah.
motion to table.
Table, motion to table.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to roll call vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Doug Avery,
Aye.
Craig Mazzaro,
Nay.
Louis Delarios,
Aye.
Lou Farrar,
No.
Okay, it's a 2-2 vote. We're not tabling it.
Because you got, that's counted.
Yeah, so we will, SMI will continue to operate under their current license because it's a 2-2 vote.
If you have a motion to table,
Yeah.
you need three yeses.
We need 3
You
yeses.
got 2 yeses, and Vic's is counted as a no because he's not here. You had 3 no's, so the motion to table is defeated. So that sends it back to the actual SMI renewal on
Okay.
on the issue itself.
So now I can read that motion again.
Is everybody with me?
Yes.
Voting on that.
Okay.
You're voting on the issue itself.
Yeah, the renewal of license to construct and operate landfill under Chapter 58 of the town code. That's the motion for SMI. I have a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Discussion. See, no discussion, we'll go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
on roll call.
Yes, roll call.
Doug Avery,
No.
Craig Mazzaro,
Yes.
Dave Delarios,
No.
Lou Farrar,
Yes.
So it's not passed at this point.
It's not passed, it can continue to operate under their current license. Canal Promenade fence.
I have, yeah,
Yours, that's for the next
here's the
one.
resolution. Do you want to pass these down? You have it?
Yeah, we already got this.
Approval of painting of canal promenade fence. I have a motion on the floor.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Should we have done this through a bid process?
So I'll explain. So at a recent Parks and Rec committee meeting, Dave and Vic, Vic had noticed the fence down the canal promenade is worse than he thought. He didn't realize what he was looking at the time. So they asked me to at least research and do it. So I did do an RFP. It's in there. There's an RFP in your packet. And then there are 2 bids accordingly because it was underneath. I followed the procurement policy to make sure that we had 2 written and/or fax quotes, which we have.
I didn't see that.
Yep, so there's 2 there. And then I said to Dave, I'll turn it over to him to explain a little bit more at the meeting if you'd like to. And so I prepared a resolution just in case you guys decided as a board you wanted to do this now, or again, talk about it. 2 years ago, it was in the budget, but it was underfunded, and we couldn't do it. So then last year became a victim of the budget cuts that happened. We did not include it for 2018.
So when was it painted last?
Well, the village did it.
Say 11. Say no more.
When was it, Brian?
11.
11, so it's 7 years, and it's peeling and it's camouflage, basically. And we did have a volunteer, Bob Rook, went down. There's a section of fence that he painted for us to see if there was a process that would work. He scraped it right against the bridge, the Bridge Street Bridge along the canal. He scraped it, primed it, and painted it, and it came out pretty good. So at least we had a visual on it, so we could see what it looked like. And then, you know, if the process would work, it seems it would work. So that's how we wrote the RFP, based on scrape and that kind of stuff, prime and paint.
Was the RFP published?
No, we just reached out to local team. One of them, Dave, was somebody who had bid it successfully. They had bid it in 2 years ago when we talked about doing it, so. And we can follow a different procedure if you want to. I'm just going according to what the committee kind of directed me to give it a shot.
No, I'm just looking just for consistency. My understanding was any RFPs were to be,
Not any RFPs, just the big ones, like the big,
define big.
like, big projects.
Well,
We don't bid out every.
I looked at-
single
Yeah, I looked at the procurement policy and it shows under, between public
Under
works
so
is
much,
10 to something.
yes.
And then in actual
Right.
services or
Right.
product, it was under 20.
And this is at 19?
One was at 20, one was at 19.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, the one at 21, Dick and I said we can't,
What-
we gotta go with the lower one anyways, when we met with Jim. And said we'll take the $19,000 one because the 21 is about 20,000. I'll make a motion that we accept the $19,000 bid.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Do you have this one? Community Center gym windows replacement.
Yes,
Yeah, that one Nikki had.
yeah, I have that.
Resolution approval of community center gym window repair. Be resolved that the town board approves the repair of the community center's gym windows by Geneva Glass Center for a cost not to exceed $3,800. Work includes the removal of glass, caulk, and screw heads, reinstallation of glass, and wet sealing of the bottoms and sides.
This came about because we have five leaks, right? 5 leaks in the roof. I
Yeah,
went in there one day and
we-
had
we
5
had-
gallon buckets touching.
We've had trouble over the past few years where a major melt or a major storm, we'd have one major leak. Since then, they've come into where we have 5 or 6 buckets. Today, there was 3 or 4 buckets. My concern with this is that one of these days, we're gonna have a long weekend where there's a couple days and nobody's in that building. We get some water in that gym floor, and it all takes is a little bit of water in that gym floor, and it's gonna pop. And then we're gonna have a much more expensive problem. These windows, from what Geneva Glass tells us, were incorrectly installed back when they built the building. And so it's been a long, slow process of somebody doing this. And they're hopeful, they're pretty sure that taking them out, resealing them, putting them back in should hold it. And then the suggestion is, when and if we get into some roofing, which is gonna be sooner than later, we probably should include replacement of all those windows at some point in the future. And what we're talking about is the clear story windows at the top. If you look at the community center, you see a bunch of windows right at the top of the peak. And the wing gets in, gets underneath them, comes down through, and that's created some of the problems we have with our paint job inside, so.
Also, we talked, probably at budget time, we're gonna put some money in towards, the roof is 20 years old. We might look forward to put money in the budget every
We might
year.
have to start planning for some.
Some money in there for roof.
Okay, we had a motion, a second, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. A motion on the floor, resolution correcting filling of the vacant court clerk position. Made a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Next resolution is whereas the town board desires to keep the residents of the town of Seneca Falls informed of the financial condition of the town, and whereas the office of state controller has indicated is it appropriate to do so, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the principal account clerk to post the monthly reports to the town website upon their completion, beginning with the closing of the August 2018 monthly books.
Second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I have a motion on the floor, a resolution, whereas the state of New York has granted the town of Seneca Falls $114,156.31 in addition CHIPS money for consolidated highway aid, which will be reimbursed to the town by the state of New York. Now therefore it be resolved that the town board does hereby modify the highway budget by a debit to DA 3501 CHIPS revenue of $114,156.31 and a credit to DA 511.0.408 street plan for pavement and extreme winter recovery work. I made a motion, I need a second.
Second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. I have a motion on the floor, now therefore it be resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the hiring of James Duffy on 8/1/2018 for an MEO mechanic position at a rate of $23 an hour plus a stipend of $1,122 for being a mechanic.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
Is there a reason this one's dated, the start date for August 1?
Jim had the authorization to hire, and this is just hiring. I told Jim he needed that guy as soon as possible. I gave the authorization to hire. I thought that was under my authority to do so. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. There's three resolutions here. Be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board is hereby authorized the hiring of Nicholas Spilazza on 8/8/2018 for a laborer position at a rate of $18 an hour. I have a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. I have a resolution, now therefore be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the hiring of Eric Bush on 8/8/2018 for a laborer position at a rate of $19 an hour.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I have a third resolution, that therefore be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the hiring of Ernie Tillman on 8/8/2018 for a laborer position at a rate of $19 an hour.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. So, which ones?
I'll tell you when you stop, I guess.
Pardon?
L.
This is just the beginning of the Joe tour.
Okay.
A and B are being tabled? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't you just put that on?
A motion to purchase a Muffin Monster from JWC Environmental for $9,392.
Second.
Discussion.
I'll second
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. I have a motion on the floor to purchase a Watson Marlowe pump, QDOS 30 chemical metering pump from Watson Marlowe for $2,573.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I have a motion on the floor to purchase a parallel analyzer from USA Blue Book for $3,832.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I have a motion to appoint Seneca Falls resident Joseph McLean as a full-time laborer in the water sewer department. The starting salary is $15.24 an hour.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I have a motion on the floor to authorize the transfer of John McAndrew to the water treatment facility in Canoga as a water treatment plant operator at a pay rate of $27.85 per hour.
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I have a motion on the floor that the Town of Seneca Falls Board does authorize modifying the water and sewer budget by debiting F8340.106 of $2,200 and a credit of G8130.104 of $2,200 to authorize and spending the lease funds for the deputy position.
Second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, got it. Yeah, you're right, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Now therefore it be resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the appointment of Fred Peterman as Deputy Chief Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator. Water sewer maintainer. Fred will be paid $150 per hour for the additional duties for the position. His adjusted salary will be at a pay rate of $28 per hour.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Did you skip Q?
Approved Q.
So you didn't say the name or how much?
Read the motion.
You read the second half.
This is the one I got there.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying who it was,
Yeah.
what his actual is.
That's what is confusing. It is confusing.
Okay.
If you can just
You skipped the top part.
vote on that separately, or doesn't matter?
Brian.
Yeah, you skipped it.
It's all.
That's all one.
Kim told us to skip it.
Yeah.
I didn't see the two resolved.
Skip, Kim was the.
Then you wouldn't have listened if I told you to do that.
It's been approved, but the money's going to PERF.
I was gonna say, Kim doesn't want Ryan to know he got a raise.
Okay.
Don't you read that top half?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear you read it, Greg.
Want me to read it?
Somebody.
Now therefore be resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Board does hereby authorize the appointment of Brian DeVay as Deputy Chief Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator. Brian will be paid $1.50 per hour for additional duties of the position. His adjusted salary will be a pay rate of $28.96.
I second that. First part of that resolution.
It's done.
So it's,
Trying to tag that, so it's.
yeah. So you had two
By acclamation.
resolved.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
now we're back to the one resolved. Now therefore be resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the temporary hiring of David, how do you pronounce his last name? Nageldinger at the water treatment facility in Canoga at a rate of $25 per hour. Debit F8330.100, 10,000, and credit F8330.101, $10,000 to authorize the spending of lease funds for the salary of David Nageldinger.
Second.
Discussion. David was had this job back when he was with the village.
He was the chief.
So, we're glad to get him to help us out. He came out of retirement for the village.
Joe, is T?
T is not worded quite correctly.
Okay,
So,
but it's still gonna be heard tonight?
yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
But it's enter into contract for emergency services, basically. It's not a chief plant operator. It's,
Okay, now therefore be resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the town supervisor to enter into contract with Bell Services for emergency services.
That's not in the resolution.
no, whatever it says in the resolution.
Just
Let's
what's
say in the resolution.
Or just what's in the resolution?
Perfect.
Okay. Now therefore be resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the town supervisor to enter into contract with Bell Services of 3163 Canova Road, Seneca Falls, New York, until a suitable candidate is appointed to chief water plant operator. I have a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Hold on. As we move forward and we're running the plant better with our trainee and myself, because I'm a licensed operator,
Yes.
and we're learning the plant and getting more people to understand the plant, that will kind of be weaned off of this service if needed. It's basically just so, you know, if we have something that we can't figure out, that he knows where something is, that, you know, we're under contract for. And as we move forward, so that statement about suitable chief is not quite correct anymore, because we kind of changed the plan to grow with him.
Just parts you read is okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So you got a motion second.
Yeah, a motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion passes. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the creation of 2 water and wastewater treatment plant operator trainee positions. A motion on the floor, I need a second.
Second that.
Discussion.
I just want to be clear to everybody, we're not adding to the workforce. We're taking our people that we have and getting the trainees so that we don't run into these problems in the future with not having qualified operators. So we're training everybody now to come up.
We're cross-training.
Cross-training, exactly.
Thank you, Joe. Discussion on, any
We'll
more
actually be
discussion?
down 1 employee by the time all this is said and done from the beginning of this year.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize advertising for hiring 2 water and wastewater treatment plant operator trainees.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Is W coming up, Joe?
I'm sorry?
Is W being held?
I can't, with a good conscience, not do W tonight, because it's going to leave the town in a fine situation, because there will be no chief operator. So I can't just abandon the town, so you're going to have to
You're going to do that?
do that.
Okay.
And then, you know, if something goes awry at another later date when we discuss other things, then
Understand.
we'll discuss that.
So just take a vote on it.
Okay. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Seneca Falls Town Board authorize the town supervisor to sign Department of Health form designation of operator in charge form designated Chief WWTP Operator Joseph Tulo as the operator in charge at the water plant in Canoga. Have a motion on the floor, I need a second.
Not second.
Discussion. I want to thank you for stepping up to the plate, Joe, on this, and we will be discussing this at our special personnel committee on the 27th. So thank you for your help and assistance in this time that we really need someone to step up to the
And I
plate.
would join in on that because it resolves a legal impediment that we would have to address tomorrow morning. So, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Be resolved that the Town of Seneca Falls Town Board authorizes debit F8340.212 of $15,000 and credit F8330.472, $2,000, and F8330.494, $6,000, and F8330.448, $7,000. debit F840.212, $15,000, credit F8330.472, $2,000, F8830.494, $6,000, F8330.448, $7,000.
This is to realize the need to purchase safety equipment to come in compliance with PESH and address operational issues at the water plant.
Yes.
Yes, and for the pump.
Have a motion on the floor, I need a second.
Second, yeah.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Authorizing request for professional services for Seneca Falls Middle School, Frank Knight Elementary School Safe Routes to School Project, Project PIN 3950.66. I have a motion on the floor, I need a second.
Second, sir.
Okay, this needs to be a roll call vote, Nikki?
Greg Rosero,
Yes.
Ed Avery,
Yes.
Rick Salinas,
Yes.
and Rick Farr,
Yes.
here, this is the one.
Authorizing the responsible local official, RLO, and Equal Business Opportunities, EBO, administrator from Katie Stanton, the Middle Elementary Safe Routes to School Project, PIN 3950.59. This resolution names myself as that person.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Oh, we need a roll call vote.
Okay. Greg Rosero,
Yes.
Doug Avery,
Yes.
Dave Delaney,
Yes.
Bill Farr,
Yes.
Advertise RFP for upgrade of existing server operation. I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Marshall's still there, Jeff. Marshall, I want to thank you for working hard on this. You did an outstanding job, and we'll go from there. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Skip the CC.
Skip AA, BB, and CC, right?
No.
No, we do see.
Do CC.
Do CC, okay.
Okay, we're gonna table AA and BB and talk about it at a special meeting on the 27th. Is it, what date is that? Is that the 20th?
yes.
27th, and you said 3 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Seneca Falls Town Board authorizes the town supervisor to sign a contract lease with the chief.
No.
No, No, I'm sorry, I'm
It was
sorry.
CC.
Yeah,
16.
yeah,
16.
Number.
they're numbered differently than the agenda says. CC. Now therefore be resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board authorizes the appointment, transfer of laborer Mason Harper to water sewer treatment plant operator trainee at a pay rate of $21.72 per hour. Discussion.
Does anybody need a copy of the list that he was on, one of the top three? We do have copies.
I think there is a copy in here, but they need to see it. It's in here.
Make a motion to approve the water sewer credits.
That includes that.
Get a vote on these.
Motion on the floor, second.
Second. Did we vote on this?
I don't know. We did.
Okay, we're going back to Mason. Motion was made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to approve the water sewer credits.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I only heard one aye. Aye. No need for executive session. I move to pay the bills.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Special order of the day, I move to adjourn.
They're not.